Hi, this is just a quick overview of the ACT English section. Remember, we have this test coming up in March. All juniors will take the exam. It's a free exam and it will be on campus. This does count as a real ACT score. It's not just a practice. This is something you can submit to colleges. You can submit with scholarship applications. So you definitely want to take advantage of this free opportunity. Even if you think, I'm not going to college, I don't need the ACT, try your best, see how you do, and you may be surprised by your score. And if college wasn't a reality for you, you may shock yourself and see that it might be a reality. So don't give up on the ACT just because you think you don't need it. It's a good measure of where you are, especially in English and reading, and it is important for college admissions. So this is the ACT website. It has lots of resources, as you can see. We are going to look at their sample test questions for English today. So the ACT English section will contain 75 questions, and you have 45 minutes. And so they give you all these tips here at the top. Be aware of the writing style used in each passage. Consider the elements of writing that are included in each underlined portion of the passage. Some questions will ask you to base your decision on some specific element of writing, such as the tone or emphasis the text should convey. Be aware of questions with no underlined portions. That means you will be asked about a section of the passage or the passage as a whole. Examine each answer choice and determine how it differs from the others. Many of the questions in the test will involve more than one aspect of writing. Determine the best answer. Read and consider all of the answer choices before you choose the one that best responds to your question. Reread the sentence using your selected answer. So here's what the ACT English section looks like. I want to go over the instructions just so you never have to read them again. Do not waste your time reading the instructions of the ACT. They never change. If you listen to them right now, you know them, and then you don't have to come back to them. But the directions say, in the passage that follows, certain words and phrases are underlined and numbered. In the right-hand column, you will find alternatives for the underlined part. In most cases, you are to choose the one that best expresses the idea, makes the statement appropriate for standard written English, or is worded most consistently with the style and tone of the passage as a whole. If you think the original version is best, choose no change. In some cases, you will find in the right-hand column a question about the underlined part. You are to choose the best answer to the question. You will also find questions about a section of the passage or about the passage as a whole. These questions do not refer to an underlined portion of the passage, but rather are identified by number or numbers in a box. For each question, choose the alternative you consider best and fill in the corresponding oval on your answer document. Read the passage through once before you begin to answer the questions that accompany it. For many of the questions, you must read several sentences beyond the question to determine the answer. Be sure that you have read far enough ahead each time you choose an alternative. So here's what it looks like. You're going to have a passage on the left-hand side, questions on the right-hand side. The free ACT you take will be administered on the computer. It won't look exactly like this, and I will show you exactly what it'll look like. It looks like the ACT Aspire you've taken in other grades. It will be taken on the computer, and so it will be similar in format that the passage is on the left, the questions are on the right. The passage is secondary. You are looking sentence by sentence to see what the underlined portion is asking you to consider, and then you answer with the best answer. You do need to skim the passage to know what it is about, because occasionally you'll have a question that asks you about appropriate tone, or that asks you about decisions the writer has to make, and you have to have an understanding of the passage. But you are not reading this passage to answer questions about characters or events. You are strictly looking at the writing. So what you do is you look at the sentence with the underlined portion. Number one, if we look over here, I grew up with buckets, shovels, and nets waiting by the back door. If I look at all my answer options, the only thing that changes is punctuation. There's a semicolon in the actual passage. There's commas in option B, 1 comma in option C, and no punctuation in option D. So you are considering commas or punctuation, what you know about punctuation. And this is what each question will do, is it'll pick a certain aspect of the sentence or of the passage that you have to look at. Like number 2, was sitting, would sit, sitting, or sat. That's a verb question. So once you can identify what the question is asking or what the question is trying to do, then you're more likely to get it right. And then you just kind of work your way through the passage until you get into the end. If you look at question number 4, this is what I was talking about by skimming the passage and knowing what it's about, so that you can answer questions like this. So it's asking you which choice would most effectively introduce the rest of this paragraph. So if we were to put in, it's number 4, so you're going to look for, sorry, I had a technical difficulty. You are going to look for number 4. So this question relates to this part of the passage right here. And it is asking you how you would introduce the rest of the paragraph. So which sentence would make the most sense here? And then you kind of scroll through and you can see each answer as you work. So that is the ACT English section in a nutshell. This is just for exposure. I'll have some flex sessions where you can come and get some practice and I can help you with some of these things. But today we're just making sure you've seen it, you know what it looks like, you know how the ACT works in the English section, and I want to see how you do.